12, and I'll begin reading with verse number 20. Thank you for your prayers for Carolyn. She hasn't been home in 3 weeks, just nonstop, endless work to get the recertification done. And next week, this coming week, is going to be the same. So just pray that the Lord will help. But she's asking for prayers that the recertification goes through, because quite often, even some of the most prestigious hospitals do not pass for recertification, and they have to reapply. She's working feverishly that doesn't happen. Some of the top hospitals in North Carolina had to go back and reapply this year. And she is just praying that her recertification goes through. That is my concern too, but my biggest concern is for her health. She's getting very little sleep and has, not just the last 3 weeks she's been away, but the last 2 months. And just help me pray the Lord will spare her, and I can get her out of Duke and somewhere up around this area to work. And I'm praying that this will be her last recertification. She's been through 5 for Duke, and she's been through others, hospitals in South Carolina. And she says, but I got more to give. I said, yes, and it's time for you to give it to your husband. I said, I'm going to start me a recertification process. She said, you're going to do what? I said, I'm just kidding. It is great to be with you here this evening. Let's look into the Word of God. So the Bible says in John's Gospel, chapter number 12, and I begin reading with verse number 20. And there were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast. The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Jesus. Philip cometh and telleth Andrew, and again Andrew and Philip tell Jesus, and Jesus answering them, saying, The hour is come, and the Son of Man shall be glorified. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone, but if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. If any man serve me, let him follow me. Where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. Now is my soul troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this cause came I unto this hour. Father, glorify thy name. Then came there a voice from heaven saying, I have both glorified it and will glorify it. The people therefore that stood by and heard it said that it thundered. Others said, an angel spake to him. Jesus answered and said, This voice came not because of me, but for your sakes. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all men unto me. Would you go back, please, to the last part of verse 21? That last saying, Sir, we would see Jesus. Sir, we would see Jesus. What a plea, what a request. I heard about a man who had an odd name that made him give a request. For some strange reason, his mom and daddy named him Odd. So the little boy grew up by the name of Odd. If he got called to the principal's office, he came over the intercom, Odd, report to the office. When he got on the soccer field and played, and soccer and softball and other things, they said, hey, Odd, it's your turn. When the little fella grew up, he stood before the preacher and was married his sweetheart. The preacher said, now, Odd, will you take this one? And throughout all of his life, he got a good job at the plant. And over the intercom, over this huge plant, where they would call him in because he was important, they called him every day. Odd, would you come to such and such bay and come to this department and help things working? So Odd, after many, many years, he looked at his wife and he said, you know something? I'm so tired of being called Odd. I refuse to have my name Odd on my tombstone. He said, darling, would you do me this one favor? All I want the tombstone is, he lived, he died. He said, don't you put odd on my tombstone. He said, I'm not having anybody walk up to my tombstone and say odd. He said, I'm done with that. When I'm gone, I'm done with it. She said, all right. So he died. And on the tombstone, he lived, he died. A few weeks, there were a couple coming to the cemetery to visit somebody that they loved very close to him. And they came by his tombstone, and they looked at the tombstone, and they looked at each other and said, that's odd. He lived, he died. That's odd. There was a strange occurrence also that happened. This is true and real and sad. April the 15th, on Monday, 2013, a man by the name of Joe Birdie ran in the Boston Marathon. He's from Texas. And 2 seconds after he crossed the finish line, 2 explosions went off in downtown Boston. Changed the world, changed America. That was Monday. He wasn't injured. He was a safe distance away from the explosions. And so the next day, he got on a plane, went back to West Texas. And on Wednesday, the 17th, he was going to work, and he always passed this big fertilizer plant. And Joe Birdie saw the plant on fire. He happened to have his recorder, so he started recording the plant. And it was his recording that caught this huge plant that exploded. You could see it for miles. 14 people were killed, 200 people injured. And the news media used his footage and showed it on every news agency in the world of this explosion. Statisticians tell us that to witness 2 epic events like that in 1 week will not happen until another 4,800 weeks. And I'm going to tell you something here, St. Mark. You and I have the opportunity to see 3 times a week. 3 times a week, something absolutely spectacular. And that is what these Greeks requested to see. We can see Jesus. Every time we come to the house of God, through the preached word, through the songs that are sung, we can see Jesus. Through every Sunday school lesson taught, through every Wednesday night lesson presented, we can see Jesus. And here's what the Greeks said. They made this grand appeal and this wonderful inquiry. We would see Jesus. That ought to be the benchmark that identifies every time you and I go to the house of God. It ought to be the burning passion of our soul. We must see Jesus. And to see him and to sense him makes all the difference in the world. The great writer Lyman Abbott wrote in his book, What is Christianity? He says that Christianity is not a philosophy that Jesus taught, for Jesus came not to teach a dry, boring philosophy. Oh no, what Jesus came to do, he writes, he came to offer and impart a brand new way of living an exciting life. And I want to tell you that most people in the world think you have to have millions of dollars before you can live an excited life. If you were to see the stats, most people who have a few million are miserable or are depressed. Sirs, we would see Jesus. Think about who Jesus is. He never came to this earth and penned a book. And yet there are more books penned about him than any other figure who's ever lived on the planet Earth. In my study, I humbly tell you that I'm thankful for the hundreds and hundreds of books in my study, and it's all because of the one man, Jesus Christ. But I've been in libraries that the hundreds and hundreds of books I have could barely fill up a wall of some of these great libraries. And I had been to the great Oxford Library and there beheld the thousands of volumes that they have on the one person, Jesus Christ. I've been to the London Museum only once in life. I'll never probably have the money to go back. But there to see the artifacts of what Jesus Christ, this one central figure, has ever done and how he's changed lives. Libraries are filled today with information about Jesus. There are people like you and me. We hang on every word of that fell from the lips and the mouth of the Lord Jesus Christ. We would see Jesus because of who he was. Now, historians tell us that Jesus is real because he is a true figure. He lived on this earth. He experienced life. He got thirsty, he drank. He got hungry, he ate. He involved himself in society 2,000 years ago, and this very important figure, historians say, there is no doubt that this Jesus Christ truly lived on this earth. No one can erase the fact that Jesus Christ walked upon this planet, and he did change lives. He was real. That's who he is. That's who he was. That's who he forever shall be. He was real. And he's also relevant. This Jesus makes sense. When you read about him and how that we must humble ourselves, it's when we humble ourselves that God lifts us up. It's the proud and the arrogant that people shun. It's the humble and the helpful that people cry out and say, there are the real people that make a difference. So Jesus is relevant. His teachings make a true difference in our life that will open up their hearts to him. He's relevant. He's real. He's relevant. Most of all, he's resurrected to this day. He's at the right hand of the Father, living there, residing there, ordering the whole cosmos there. He's real. He's relevant. And he's resurrected. I don't come to offer you a second-hand story of who Jesus is. You don't need just second-hand gibberish and verbiage about Jesus. No, what you and I need is a real present contact with the glorious presence of Jesus Christ. I can preach till I'm breathless, but it will not make any difference to a heart will simply say, I want Jesus for myself. You and I have experienced the life change of what he does. He brings hope. He brings courage. He lifts us up beyond the troubles and the cares of this world. He's real. He's relevant. And he's resurrected. And in his presence, we find all that we need to make life worth living. I heard a statistic that while one night last week when I was with Carolyn, I heard one of the statistics. They were talking about the rise of suicides, and I was out in the hallway reading, and I happened to lift up my head. That caught my attention that suicides are on the rise. I suspected that, but I didn't have any medical facts to back that up. And I'll tell you why I believe that's happening. It's because people have bought into the lie that our academic institutions, our colleges are telling lies to our young people, saying that, well, we don't know if Jesus really lived. All you got to do is read history. Just read history. He lived. And why do I want some academic two-by-squirt who didn't live back then, who will not do the research to tell me that, well, we don't know if Jesus really lived. And yet those same guys will get up, and same girls will get up in their lectern and say, well, we know that Cicero lived over 2,000 years ago, and we know that the Pharaohs lived 4,000 years ago. Well, how do you know that? You've got so little, you've got lots of history, but you compare that to the historical volumes of Jesus, and they barely add up. I'll tell you why college professors are lying to our young people. They want to remove the absolute authority from this world, and they want people to live the way they want to do. And I'll tell you, that's why America is becoming bestial and animalistic. We're becoming no better than the animals. In fact, in some areas, we're worse off than the animals. Look at a mother tigress. She'll kill you if you get near her little cubs. A bear will rip you apart if you get near their cubs. And yet, here in America, people are desensitized to the authority of God that we'll meet and stand before him one day. And mothers and fathers are just abandoning children and putting them in garbage. They come tell us They have their doctor's degrees and master's degrees. They want to tell us, well, we don't know if there's a God. Well, I know. I've read the history. He did live. And thank God I know it because not only history, I know it because I've made contact with heaven. He's real in my soul. No one can convince me there is no God. He is real. Thank God for His presence. He's real. I read today about a little spider who got in a great big barn. He was a big spider and he ran off all the spiders. He had this great big barn all to himself. And he said, what can I do with this great big barn? And he said, I know what I'll do. I'll just go over in that corner right there. I'll build the biggest spider web in the world. He said, now how do I do it? It's a big old barn. He said, I know. I'll start from the ceiling. I'll make a triple thick thread, and it'll hold anything I build. And you know the strength of spider webs. For its size, they're noted, biologists say, is one of the strongest fibers in the world. And so the spider went over in the corner, and he went up to the top, and he built a triple thick thread, hung it down a few feet from the top, and he started building, and it took him a year, and he built the biggest spider web in all the world. And one day he woke up. The sun was shining just right on that web, and it just beamed on that little top thread from the root. And he said, don't that look strange? One little thread. I don't like the way it looks. And he went crawling up to the top, and he slashed the thread, and when he did, the whole web came crashing down. Can I tell you that's what American society has done? We have been built in America on the one single thread that there is a holy God. We'll give an answer to Him. We better love Him, and we better treat our neighbors right. And because we've taken that one single thread of our foundational fabric and cut it and said it's needless, we don't need it anymore. We've got education, we got money, we don't need it anymore. And now our whole system of society and civilization is slowly coming down. Where lives are no longer valued. People, human beings, are looked at as nothing but a pound of meat for pleasure, satisfaction, or they take whatever they want. Our whole society is becoming devalued, and human rights. You hear them talk about human rights. They don't know what human rights are. They want our babies aborted for convenience. They want people's rights regardless of what kind of diseases it may cause. They want the American human being to be put on the pedestal of where God and God alone should reside. And when God is X'd and removed as the central factor, then all of life will come crashing down. One of the greatest, most brilliant men who ever lived, John Stuart Mills. He got that way because his father self-taught him. Wouldn't let him go to school, and his father was a genius. And he educated him, and then he sent him off to college. He had more degrees than anybody. And about midway through his life, he wrote an autobiography because he had so much knowledge. He had explored the world, and here's what he wrote. I, John Stuart Mills, have admiration for my father. But my father, with all of the years of education he poured into my brain, did not adequately prepare me for life. When you read that in his autobiography, you stop and think, wait a minute. The man's got more degrees. He's got more degrees than the alphabet. And my Father, who taught him and sent him all these universities, did not adequately prepare me for life. Read the next sentence.
For my Father gave me the best education in the world. It filled my head. But he left empty
my heart. And I am inadequately prepared to be the human being I need to be. I'm going to tell you, only honest human beings will admit that. I read a fellow just couldn't get motivated for life, and his wife said, you know, I'm so tired of you laying around this house. Why don't you go see a psychologist? He said, well, he thought to himself, if you get her off my back, I'll just, you know, haven't been working late, don't care to work, I just can't get motivated. She's paying me to go to the psychologist, I'll just go there. Stop somewhere and get something nice to eat before I go there. Give me some ice cream after. He went over there and saw the doctor, and the doctor said, and checked him over about an hour. He said, you want the truth? You want the truth, sir? What's wrong with you? He said down, wait, doctor, wait. What I want you to do, I don't want you to use any scientific terms in your analysis of me. Just give me the simple facts. What's wrong with you? Doctor said, simple. Son, you lazy. Man said, wait a minute, doctor. Can you give that in scientific terms? Because I got to go home and tell my wife, I need a scientific term for that so I can tell my wife, today is something wrong. I'll tell you that people feel empty and bored. Most people in society feel empty and bored. I'm going to tell you why. I got to close. Becky, could you come and play? I'm going to tell you why. Because they will not or have not been properly taught to get in the presence of Jesus Christ. That's what every sermon is to do. If I give you facts from the Bible, good. But if that's all you have when you leave this church, I am a miserable failure who will answer to God. Every sermon, every Wednesday night lesson from this pulpit is to make you hungry for God and to say, Lord, of all the things I need you more than I need anything in this world. Preaching the Bible, teaching the Scriptures, is to lovingly push you and I closer to the presence of Almighty God. To say, Lord, fill my heart, fill my mind. He'll do it. He'll do it. All people need is just a little encouragement. So when you are out in the world this week, your jobs in your life and doing your responsibilities, there's somebody you can encourage. Maybe you only have a few seconds to give them a smile. Elizabeth Barrett, when she was 15 years old, fell off a horse on her daddy's farm. For 20 years she's in bed. All her brothers and sisters and parents waited on her. During that 20 years, she decided, well, after 5 years of being depressed, clinically depressed, and who wouldn't be, being bedridden, she started writing poetry. Finally, she got very good at poetry. And when she was 35, she attracted the attention of the poet, Robert Browning. He was a much older man, and he came to her and said, you know, I'm just fascinated with your writings. And they struck up a relationship. He fell madly in love with her. He started encouraging her. She started getting real happy that he would come around a lot. He asked her one day, he said, you want to try to get out of that bed? She said, sure, if you'll help. He said, that's what I'm here for. He said, I'm crazy. I'll do anything in the world for you. He helped her out of bed. She took a few steps. And day by day, she'd take more steps. And day by day, she'd take a few more steps. And when she was 41 years old, Robert Browning took Elizabeth Barrett on a mountain hike. And she was in fantastic shape. He begged her to marry him. She said, quit begging. I've just been waiting for you to ask. They got married. When she was 43, she gave birth to their child. And she lived a life from then on as absolute joy. Why? Somebody took a little interest. Now, most people you and I meet this week, they're going to pass by quickly. We don't have 6 years to get them interested. Smile. You're where you can talk to them and say, boy, I'd love to see you in St. Mark Church next Sunday. Hear the gospel preached. It's amazing what God can do when just one person come to this church and say, I want to see Jesus. I mean, when you and I get a spiritual hunger, when we say it like this, I've got to get to church. I must see Jesus. 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 When you have that kind of desire, you'll see it. How do you see it? With your heart. Stand with me, please. Can we just come and stand around this altar? I want us to come and see Jesus. I want us to come see Jesus. I want us to come see Jesus. Bless his holy name. Glory to his holy name. Glory to his holy name. Glory to his holy name.